in terms of participants with a viral load less than 200. You can see that they all did well. Going to the next bar, which showed biosuppression below limit of detection. Below limit of detection, while our primary outcome was working with less than 200, the machines we used at JCRC had their limit of detection at less than 20 copies per mil. So you could see that there were no differences at 9 months in both the SOC and the resistance testing arm. In terms of viral suppression on first line, still there were no statistical differences in both arms. The only difference we got in the SOC and the resistance testing arm was that detection of biologic failure without drug resistance had a slightly higher proportion in the resistance testing arm than in the SOC arm. In terms of retention to care, I think both arms did about the same. Next slide. When we saw, and I know my time is almost up, so I'm rushing. In a sub-analysis, we realized that there was basically no statistical differences between SOC arm and the resistance arm, comparing both South Africa and Uganda, and comparing the baseline adherence reported by participants, whether they were adhering well or not at 100% or less than 100%, or comparing the baseline CD4, whether it was more than 200 or less than 200. As you could see, yes, much as the odds ratios were above 1, but the intervals were crossing over 1. However, when we looked at men and women, we saw that men did a little better when they were in the resistance testing arm than women, although this wasn't also statistically significant. In conclusion, which is the next slide, in conclusion, the genotypic resistance testing after first-line failure did not improve the 9 months virologic suppression rates in Uganda and South Africa, which was reassuring for us in the low-income countries who had thought that maybe we need to do the resistance testing immediately. We find that our adherence support to the patients and repeat viral load guidance to manage whether to switch or remain on first line does very well. Individuals receiving resistance testing with persistent failure had lower rates of drug resistance at study conclusion. The cost effectiveness analyses are underway, so I can't share them now. We have no results yet. Interventions that improve management of virologic failure are still urgently needed to maintain control of the global HIV epidemic. And this study is still particularly relevant because we have a global transition to DTG-based therapy, and some subpopulations are still using the non-nucleoside reverse transcriptase-based first-line therapy. Thank you very much. Acknowledgements to all the revamp team, and yes, thank you so much. I'll welcome questions.
Thank you so much, Winnie, for the presentation. Time for questions. Yes, Professor Kuala.
Thank you very much, Dr. Winnie. I have about 2-3 questions. Now, you enrolled 840 participants, correct?
Yes, please.
And 73% were taking the certain combination. Is that the first line?
Come again?
73% we are taking tenofovir, amitriptyline, and efavirenz.
Yes, please.
Okay. Now, you are silent about the 27%, which actually is a significant number. That means the 227%. We are not telling us what they were on.
It's only because the slide with the results didn't come out well, the first results table, because it was very well shown that whilst about 75% and 71% took TDF 3TC efavirenz, 14% in both SOC and 14% in resistance arm took AZT3TC nevirapine, which was also a first-line regimen. I think the slide did not show the whole table. It kind of blanked out the other parts. But on my slide printout, I have it.
Now the abstract is silent.
Pardon?
The abstract is silent.
The abstract is silent because of the limit of the words. The abstract was silent, but all the participants were enrolled were on first-line regimen. The commonest was CDF3TC efavirenz, and the other balance all were on AZT3TC nevirapine. It's on the last bullet there, but I don't know why it is being blanked out, not being darkened out on the. I can't see it clearly, but on the printout it is clear.
Okay, thank you. Now, the title does not include HIV, and which means it can apply to any viral condition in sub-Saharan Africa. I'm wondering why you left HIV and when the study is talking about HIV.
So that was an omission because as I talked, I think I put the HIV there. I realized preparation of the slides, it was left out. It was randomized trial of resistance testing for HIV virologic failure in sub-Saharan Africa. Apologies for leaving out the word HIV. Okay. But HIV was supposed to come.
Then the third question is basing on the fact that lack of statistical significance does not mean a lack of clinical importance. I'm wondering whether your results have any clinical importance that you want to let us know other than lack of statistical significance.
Our results have a lot of clinical significance. Yes, it is true that when we set out to do the study, we had a hypothesis and imagining that genotypic resistance testing was superior to adherence support and biologic management. However, our findings show that both arms do equally well. And in terms of our low-income countries, we see that our adherence support, counseling support, and the viral load management, driven management, to either switch or retain first line based on bioload works very well. So it's an important message.
Okay. So are you comfortable recommending, although there is no statistical significance?
Pardon?
Are you comfortable recommending this combination? Although there is no statistical significance, GRT.
I am comfortable, although we are still waiting for the cost-effective analysis, which results will come out a little bit later in a few months to come, like 1 or 2 months. For now, before we get the cost-effective analysis, we are still comfortable as a group to recommend that our adherence counseling support when patients have first-line failure and repeating the bioload and deciding what to do with their patient's regimen based on bioload testing repeated I'm comfortable to recommend that as a continuation because that's what we are doing in Uganda and most low-income countries. So it is working well. However, when we get the finance, the economics of scale in a few months to come, we shall revisit it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Willie. Our next presenter is Innocent Arinitwe. Innocent, are you around?
Yes, Doctor, I'm around.
Okay. Innocent is going to take us through the presentation, social support, food insecurity, and HIV stigma among men living with HIV in rural southwestern Uganda. You have 10 minutes for your presentation. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. I hope my screen can be seen now.
Yeah, can you please? The screen is so small, we can't see. Are you using a phone?
I'm using a phone. The laptop has failed to join a breakup session.
So you tilt the screen, eh?
Okay.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. Yes.
Is that A bit better?
That's okay now.
Okay, thank you so much. My name is Innocent Arenitwe. I'm an undergraduate student in my 5th year doing Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery. On behalf of the team shown on the screen, I would like to present social support, food insecurity, and HIV stigma among men living with HIV in rural southwestern Uganda. My outline is background, problem statement, the objectives, methods, results, discussion, recommendation, acknowledgement, and references. So on the background section, when HIV has remained a significant factor in HIV/AIDS care, where it influences uptake of HIV care services, including testing, initiation of the positive people on ART, and the retention of the people in care. So this HIV stigma manifests in 3 main forms, which are the enacted stigma, anticipated stigma, enacted stigma, or internalized stigma. The internalized stigma has been documented to be more among men than women, and it affects the affected people's self-esteem, their self-efficacy, and it undermines social support, which are associated with poor adherence to antiretroviral therapy. So the among adults have included raw and HIV disclosure, especially to the HIV stigma, especially in the sub-Saharan region. Sub-Saharan African region include religion, age, and HIV status, the HIV positive status of a partner. So our problem statement, we have seen that there have been significant levels of HIV-related stigma among people living with HIV, with its negative impact on their health, productivity, and family life, as well as access to health care services. So there has been association with the dread seeking care and enrollment into care, then poor adherence for those who come into care, which worsens outcomes of the treatment and also affects them mentally. Then we have information about HIV stigma being so limited, especially among men, and associated factors within the rural areas. So this study was targeting to bridge this gap of quantifying HIV stigma among men and also determining the factors associated to the stigma. So the objectives were 2. One was to determine HIV-related stigma among men attending HIV clinic at the Ruhoko Health Center 4 in Ibanda district. And the next objective was to determine factors associated with HIV-related stigma among men attending HIV clinic at the Ruhoko Health Center 4 in Ibanda district. So we did a cross-sectional study in 1 month at that clinic in Ibanda, southwestern Uganda, and we consecutively enrolled 252 adult men who were aged 18 years and above, and they have been receiving antiretroviral treatment for at least 6 months. They were mentally and physically fine, so that they could easily consent without any communication disabilities. So we needed to communicate with them, and they were willing and able to provide written and informed consent to participate in the study. So we collected information on social demographic data, HIV stigma using a Berger's stigma scale. We collected information on social support using multi-dimensional scale of perceived social support. And we collected information on food insecurity using household food insecurity access scale. Then we performed the logistic regression analysis to determine the associations between social support and food insecurity and HIV stigma. So our results, we found that 2.8% were aged 18 to 24, and 27% were aged 25 years to 34 years, 36.1% were aged 35 years to 44 years, 24.6% were aged 45 years to 54, and 9.5% were above 55 years. So 72.6% of those men were married, and 17.5% divorced, 2.8 were widowed. So we had 79% of the study participants doing unskilled employment, while 21% had skilled employment. Then 70%
Innocent, are you still there? Innocent is gone. Is there anyone on this phone? We had asked all of them to zip up.
So
Innocent?
yes, doctor,
Hello?
I can hear you.
Yes.
I'm connected. Yes, my presentation is back.
You just summarize and then. Okay. Unfortunately, we can't get you very well.
Significant association between HIV stigma .
Innocent, we can't get you well, please. We have to redeem the trial. Innocent, can you hear us? It's gone. Okay, I think we would. It seems to be fun. Innocent, are you back?
Yes, doctor, I'm back.
Could you give us the conclusion before we lose you again?
Yes. From our studies conclusion, we found HIV stigma is common among men and food security.
Yeah, I think we have got the message. Thank you. Okay. Sorry for the network.
With HIV stigma.
I think we just need to cut him off. We want to thank all the presenters who have presented in this afternoon session, and I think the topics have been varied and rich, from adherence to vaccine management, all the way to effectiveness of HIV drugs. Professor Batwala to invite the Deputy Vice Chancellor.
Thank you, members. And thank you, presenters who are still there online. The day has been a wonderful day for us, and we are very grateful. The partners who are here in the morning, and I'm not sure if they are still there available online. And thank you very much for coming. And thank you very much for the relationship you have with MAST. In the morning, we saw that some of your students you funded after you graduated, some with the PhD, others with masters. We are very grateful. The organizers, thank you very much. And group management, thank you very much. The faculties, the panelists, and all the participants, thank you very much. With those few words, I take the honor to invite the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic Affairs, Professor Ichon Kamkama, to close this. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Batwala, for inviting me to give my remarks and close the conference. I want to say that I'm excited this afternoon. What started has come to an end. And on this note, I want to appreciate all parties that have actually helped in organizing this conference, and the participants who have come to join us, and especially those who have shared with us knowledge which is supposed to build the future, the humanity, and that is the way to go. Specifically, I want to recognize the contribution of Professor Frederick Sengoa, our keynote speaker. What he has actually shared with us was innovative, informative, and educative, which has actually triggered the debate that will help us shape the way we do things here, and definitely it will give MAST a new direction that will promote our visibility. Our partners, MGH, University of Calgary, University of California, San Francisco, Epicenter, our own Mobile Track, without forgetting ATV. Thank you for your support. Your role cannot be downplayed, and I pray that we remain partners so that we achieve much. We cannot do it alone without you. This partnership, the network, will help us register greater success. I want to appreciate the role of online presenters. Thank you for sharing knowledge and giving us the way. You've showed us the way. And we are going to capitalize on that to make better maths. I want also specifically to thank our student, RNA12. Definitely, really, this student has done a lot. Though was disturbed by the internet and so on, you can imagine using his phone to struggle to make a presentation. Really, we want to appreciate your contribution, RNA12. We are grateful. Chairs of different sessions, thank you for your contribution, your time, and especially guiding the presenters and the participants who were out there listening. Organizing committee, Professor Amon is not here, Gawa. Professor Batwala, you've been here since yesterday. And of course, you've done a lot. You've registered success. You've been in it. And we can now see the results. Thank you so much. The computing services unit, of course, we can't say much. You've done really great work, especially during these challenges of technology. Being our virtual, first virtual conference, I know there has been a struggle with the internet. We are beginning, but at the end of the day, we shall be experts. So I want really, amid this COVID pandemic challenges, you as the organizing committee and this computing services unit, you've done a great job. We shall continue banking on you. And I know with that team spirit, we shall be able to achieve much. Yes, a lot has been discussed about transformative research for development in the changing world. Indeed, we're in a changing world, and because of those changes, we need to transform so that we remain relevant. We cannot remain in a status quo because change will change you. But we must change with information, guided by information. And that's why we are sharing all these research reports that will really take us to another level, because the world is changing. And we cannot remain in the same position. That is a challenge. We must change, we must move, so that we can be able to remain relevant. Yes, but at the end of the day, of course, the emphasis here is about application. We don't want what has been shared and discussed here to remain here. Where we are going now in the area of research is about application, and that's why the emphasis now is on applied research, actual research. What are we going to do with all these results, the important, of course, important findings they're supposed to help us in addressing the societal challenges, and that's why we do research. So I think the presenters go ahead and see how this important information that you have shared, knowledge, will be shared, will be applied in the communities addressing all these challenges that we are facing. It will help us promote our visibility. That's the only way mass will be known. And I think the organizers, we shall have some conference abstracts And in the long run, the director, we should now begin thinking about having our own journal so that we can start publishing our own research work. And it will also help our researchers, and also it will put us to another level as must. So I want, and before I conclude, we need again to evaluate ourselves. Now that we've been having a series of conferences, we need to learn from the past so that we can identify our strengths and weaknesses. And this will help us to do better in the future, because we have to learn from the past and see, maybe identify what we've been doing, what we've not been doing properly, so that we can improve. This is the world of improvement. We cannot sit comfortable and say that we have reached, especially when we are in this changing world with so many challenges. I want, on behalf of management, I want to thank you so much for your contribution, for your time, and even those who have used their resources, because this is the data is not for free. Let's continue supporting each other, and I know at the end of the day, we shall have better masts, better communities, and of course, the better Uganda. So that is what we should register, that's where we should go, and I know we shall be there. And with these few remarks, I want to officially declare this conference closed. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Deko, Vice Chancellor. We are now inviting you to stand up for the national anthem.
Oh, you come to make all of all the women, our future in thy heart.
No.
Fighting free for liberty. We all rise up.
Thank you. This marks the end of the 16th annual certification conference. Journey Masters. Thank you very much.